Dragon boat racing. Dragon boat racing emerged over 2,000 years ago, rooted in ancient Chinese traditions. This event has teams racing long boats carved and painted like dragons. Boats hold a steersman and up to 20 paddlers, all timed perfectly in sync. In the bow stands a drummer beating out a pace over 160 strokes a minute. Races are run on rivers, lakes, or ocean bays, 500 to 2,000 meters long. This game was in honor of patriotic poet Cuju, a legend who drowned himself to protest government corruption. Fishermen raced out in boats and beat drums to scare fish away from his body, and so dragon boat racing reenacted this heroic rescue attempt. Dragon boat festivals continue today with elaborate rituals and celebrations, not just in China, but now worldwide. Chariot racing. Chariot racing involved a dangerous race between 2 or 4-horse chariots around a wide, oval track. The Romans called 2-horse chariots bigas, while 4-horse chariots were called quadrigas. These races were held in a specially built arena, called hippodrome. The charioteers would sit in the cart, not on the horses, holding reins and a whip to control the animals. Races began with chariots lined up in starting gates. The charioteers had to complete 7 to 15 laps, making hairpin turns around posts at each end. Quite often, crashes would occur on turns, causing injury and sometimes even death. However, the danger was part of the allure for the spectators. Whoever crosses the finish line first, after all the laps, wins the race. Winners were celebrated and well paid for their victories, regardless of their status, and the best could earn more than the wealthiest lawyers and senators, while also becoming a man of status. The horses, too, could become celebrities. This was one of the most gripping and dangerous athletic events for both horses and men in ancient Greece and the Roman Empire. Gladiator Fights. Gladiator combat was iconic public entertainment in the Roman Empire from 3rd century BC to 5th century AD. The gladiators were servants, criminals, and prisoners of war trained to fight in amphitheaters before the crowds of Romans. Custom stadiums like the Colosseum were designed so 50,000 viewers could watch death matches. Fights were usually staged for festivals lasting days or weeks. Gladiators swore sacred oaths to endure and die bravely. Refusing to fight meant execution. Most bouts ended when a gladiator surrendered by raising a finger. The emperor or crowd would decide the defeated's fate. Though brutal, gladiators could earn fame, admiration, and fortune from crowds. Polo and Archery. Polo and archery were revered as prestigious martial skills, particularly among the nobles and rulers. Both emerged among aristocrats as a fusion of horseback riding and sporting entertainment. Polo had riders divided into 2 teams, striking a ball across a grass field, trying to score goals, using light bamboo sticks with netted hoops. Basically, polo is like hockey, but on horseback. The game is believed to originate from Persia, later spreading to ancient India and China. Archery also retained an aristocratic distinction, with Chinese lords and officers judged by their prowess firing arrows while galloping on horsebacks. Mastery of horses paired with athleticism at archery, or the team sport of polo, demonstrated sufficient martial authority and cultured refinement worthy of leadership roles. Cuju Kickball. Cuju was an early form of football and kickball played in China during the Han Dynasty, between 206 BC to 220 AD. It was a ball game that involved kicking an embroidered leather ball through a small opening into a net. Play happened on a square court with 9 to 11 players on each team. Gameplay had loose rules. Any body part except hands and arms could maneuver the ball towards the goal opening. Use of hands or failing to advance towards the goal incurred penalties. Cuju matched military drills for dexterity and coordination. Teams had to work together seamlessly, passing quickly while preventing opponents from taking the ball. The small goal opening added immense challenge, as did some other versions allowing rival goalkeepers. As evidence of early Chinese ball sports, Cuju Kickball gave inspiration for popular soccer enjoyed today, based on skilled footwork with a spherical ball. Animal baiting. As part of festivals, spectacle, and games, Romans would pit captured wild animals against each other, animals against humans, and sometimes criminals against animals as punishment. This was known as animal baiting. Venues were usually amphitheaters with cages and enclosures below the main arena floor. Animals like bears, lions, bulls, and elephants were kept in confinement. Then, locked inside their cages, they were lifted into the arena for baiting events. Roman crowds bet on and cheered. Some animal matches saw beasts fight each other to the death. Other times, animal baiting involved releasing lions, tigers, or bulls to chase down and maul people condemned to death sentences. Though disturbingly inhumane to the modern eyes, it enthralled ancient crowds. Discus and Javelin throwing. Discus and javelin throwing were field events held on the grassy grounds surrounding racetracks in ancient Greece. The discus was a stone, iron, or bronze disc weighing 4 to 8 pounds spun and thrown for distance. The javelin was a light spear of wood or metal thrown for height and distance. Rules were simple. Athletes would gather on starting lines and take turns making legal throws. A legal discus throw involved spinning 360 degrees before releasing at the proper angle, while javelins had to land tip first to count. Foul resulted in the loss of that throw. The longest measured throw won the event, just as we still have them today. The Olympics. The Olympics began in ancient Greece as early as 776 BC, dedicated to Zeus and held every 4 years in Olympia, just like the modern Olympics. The ancient Olympics served as both a sporting event and a religious festival. Most events took place outdoors near the sanctuary, and it featured competitive athletic events like foot races, boxing, wrestling, long jump, javelin, discus throwing, and chariot racing. However, only Greek males were allowed to take part, from farmland owners to royal heirs. To promote ease of movement, the athletes competed without clothes. Women could not compete or even attend. There was, however, a loophole. For games like chariot racing, the chariot owner, not the riders, were declared winners. Since women could own chariots entered into the event, there were in fact records of female winners. Jousting. Jousting was a medieval sport for European knights to demonstrate skills in mounted combat. Knights charged head-on against each other along a partitioned field called the tiltyard, attempting to strike each other off the horse with lances while wearing full metal armor for protection. The joust became a showcase of a knight's control over the horse and precision lance work. Matches could continue for days, with knights of neighboring regions paired in rounds. During jousting, a knight gets a point for unhorsing their opponent, and the knight with most victories would go on to win the tournament. Although dangerous and brutal, this game embodied bravery, strength, skills, as well as loyalty of knights to their lords. I will be creating more videos like this. Subscribe.